Want to say hello to everyone. Today is December the 1st. Can you believe it's December already? Wow, Christmas is going to be here soon. Welcome to Amateur Radio Roundtable. We meet every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock on W5KUB.com. Tonight's a little different for us. We're back on shortwave hopefully tonight. The link was put in. The audio was sounding good at the station. I don't know if it's on or not. Maybe someone can tell us in the chat room if they're getting anything. Okay, someone said there we go. Okay, now so maybe we're on. I don't know. So anyway, give me some reports in the chat room of how we're doing. I'm very interested to know how the first night back on shortwave sounds. We're coming to you tonight on WBCQ 9930 kilohertz. That's up in Monticello, Maine, so it's up in the northeast. Now the footprint's not going to be very good for you guys up in Vermont and New York and New Jersey and up in that area. The footprint's going to be pretty bad, and probably Emmett can tell you why a little later, but the main footprint starts getting stronger maybe 100 or 200 miles from there. So anyway, again, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. I would like to tell everyone that's listening on shortwave, and we don't know how many that is because we just popped on here tonight, so nobody knows about the show. So people are going to be finding us by accident. So if you are on shortwave tonight, we'd like to hear from you. Send us an email to Tom at W5KUB. That's TOM at W5KUB.com. Also join us, and you can watch the show. The show is being webcast, and the show is at W5KUB.com. We have a chat room there. You can get in and join in on all the fun. So for all my ham radio friends out there that are just tuning in, if you want to try to listen, 9930, 9930 I think is the frequency. And I'd love to hear good here in the Philly, Pennsylvania area. Okay, so South Carolina says it's sounding good, but Nova Scotia, they're not hearing it in Nova Scotia. And that probably makes sense because that's pretty close. So you guys close into the station are not going to hear it. I bet you Emmett's going to hear it down in Missouri. So again, glad to have everybody tonight. We've got a good show for you tonight. We've got Emmett Hohensee with us tonight, and Emmett is W0QH, and he's going to talk in a couple minutes about antennas and how to maintain them for winter. He's going to talk about preparing for storms and after the storms and all those kind of things that hit us, on our antennas when we don't want to go outside. That's probably, we were going to have Dan Romanchik in here later tonight, but because we've got a lot of misconfigured equipment tonight, we're not going to be able to run his video and have him on at the same time. So we're going to postpone that probably until next week. Don't forget to send your questions in to Ask Riley. Riley Hollingsworth with the Federal he's retired from the Federal Communications Commission, is a member of our show. And Riley was the special counsel of the Enforcement Division to the FCC. And Riley is here to answer any of your questions. So we have an email address set up for Ask Riley. Just send your email questions to Ask Riley at W5KUB.com. And hey, if you put your phone number in there, Riley will probably call you back and give you the answer personally. Riley is a very neat guy to get to know there. So I'd like to ask everybody, again, just very quickly, at the top of the chat room or the top of the video page, join us on Facebook. It gives you a lot of information about our show. It's a ham radio site to post your pictures of your shack, talk ham radio. Join us on Twitter. And we send out an email every week before the show. If you're not on our email list, click up there for email. I forget what the link says. Email distribution or something. What's it say, Kathy? Oh, she didn't have it. It says join our email list or something. It's right up at the top. If you'll click on that, sign up for email. It's a very short form, just your name and email address basically, and we'll put you on our mailing list. And if you don't like it, there's a remove button that you can hit. All right, so I'm going to try to switch over to, and let's get Emmett on here. Emmett is up in the heart of Missouri. So let's see, Emmett, how you doing tonight?
Wide awake, solid, manly, and right on. How are you doing this morning? Actually, it's morning somewhere, but it's how are you doing this evening, Tom?
Well,
You're looking good as usual.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, and your picture looks real good there. It looks
Thank
like
you.
you sent it high def to us tonight.
Well, it is 1080p, so.
Yeah.
Tell Kathy hi. I can hear her in the background a little bit.
All right, we'll do that. She can hear you, I think, maybe. I just put some earphones on. She may not hear anything now.
Hello, Emmett.
Hi, Kathy. Are you? Are we going to be listening to Mr. Hollingsworth today?
No, actually, we don't have anything from Riley. He didn't send anything in. He's still researching a question, and he's going to get an answer back. We'll probably try to have him on live probably the next couple weeks.
Well, that'd be fun. It's always nice to have him, especially for question and answer. And the one thing I really appreciate about Riley is that his answers are straightforward and non-filtered.
They are. Riley tells it like it is. He's a neat guy to get to know. You know, it's just going to be me and you tonight. I think we're the only people we've got scheduled on here, and with some of the conflicts that we have. After you terminate your part of the show, we're going to open up phone calls. I just want to see if anyone out there would like to call in, maybe some shortwave listener, and I'll be able to take a couple phone calls. We'll see how that goes, and then we always have a hangout toward the end. But there may be a lot of questions that come up in the chat room, and if we don't get them to you, maybe you'll see them after you do your little talk there, Emmett.
Sure.
So Emmett,
I'll be monitoring as well. So
I hate cold weather, man, and I hate ice, man, and that's probably pretty bad for antennas.
yeah, as a matter of fact, I was up in New Hampshire over Thanksgiving holiday, and one of the big projects that I ended up doing was helping my daughter and son-in-law put in 100,000 BTU pellet stove. So I got to play HVAC guy over the week, I should say.
Yeah,
But
I've done that too.
Anyway, yeah, weather is something that we all should take into consideration, especially when we're doing the things that we do. When we've got stuff outside, things happen when the wind blows, when the rain falls, when all kinds of wild and crazy things happen. And as amateur radio operators, we do have a responsibility to make sure that our stuff is safe and secure. And that's one of the things that we're going to be discussing tonight is that, you know, hey, it's time to start thinking outside of the shack, which you're going to always hear me talk about. That's one of the things I'll always say is, remember, 66% of whatever happens to your radio signal is outside of your shack. Even though you've got the amplifier, the power, the radio, the microphone, the computer, the audio processing chain, and all the other stuff, the stuff that really happens is the antenna, your ground system, and everything else that makes that signal get from point A to point B. And the whole idea here is to, before the weather hits, before things start to, go south on us quite literally, it's a good idea to go ahead and do some simple things. Obviously, the number one thing is make sure you've got a good ground system and check your ground system. Check your ground rods. Check your antenna, your coax connections. One of the things that we're going to be going into tonight is also, I'll be spending a little time, a good friend of mine, Dave Bibby, has put together, he's got a nice tower system with our hex beam antenna, and he really did an excellent job coming up with a way of setting up his station so it's serviceable, so that if something does happen, it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to go have someone climb up your tower, fix the thing that broke, and then come back a couple months later because it broke again for whatever reason. These are all things that we need to take into consideration. When we put the antenna in the air, I realize based on quite a few conversations I've had on the air with other ham radio operators and other people, they'll put the wire antenna, especially, they'll put it up and they'll think it's going to stay up there for 10, 15 years. Yes, it's very possible that antenna will stay up there for 15 years. But I strongly recommend that you do maintenance things on a regular basis, seasonal changes. If you've had bad weather, check those things. Create a checklist. Just pretend you're an astronaut and you've got this checklist of things to do after a specific event. Like you've got weather coming in, check your connections, check your coax, make sure that your ground is connected properly. If you have thunderstorms and so on, our procedure around here is I'll disconnect our coax and I actually ground it, or I put it into, believe it or not, a baby food jar, so everything is isolated and insulated so that we don't have to worry about blowing up all our equipment in the shack. So anyway, let's go on to, I'm going to share my screen here in a second. There I am. Going to share, one of the things you need to think about is what you're going to do to set up your, is it there?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Oh, wrong picture. That's a picture of what I used to work on many years ago. See the nice little gigawatt
yeah, I see that.
or megawatt waveguide and so on. Anyway, I just had to put that up there just for the, oh, look at that again. Yeah.
There it is.
Back in the day. Yeah. Anyway, you never know, based on the environment that you're in, what condition things are going to be after the storm, before the storm, or whatever. And it never hurts to have your stuff set up in such a way that you can easily maintain it. Now, just recently, a good friend of mine, who I became acquainted with at Dayton, pretty much put together his beam system that he's been wanting to do for a long time, and he literally sat there and he figured out what he needs to do, and he literally laid his antenna system out so that his tower and everything, which goes up to about 60 feet, could easily be serviceable. The one thing I suggest too, for instance, on things like your wire-based antennas, when you install that, don't hesitate to put a pulley system in there or something that will allow you to easily bring the antenna down, ground it, test it, take a look at it, and go from there. And as you can see, what he's done here is he's basically, he just took a picture, he laid things out, got a good idea how things are supposed to go, and then he went ahead and started installing it.
So Emmett, let me, before you go too far, let me just say, what a pulley system is nice, but in typical things the way I operate, I try to shoot a line over a tree, like 80 feet high, and it's not always able to pull. Not
exactly perfect all the time.
No, it's not. And another thing about that though, and I have this problem right now. My antenna's been up a couple years out there. The rope grows into the tree, and you will not let that antenna down. So
that's the other reason for doing the maintenance on a regular basis. One of the things that if you can't put a pulley up, for instance, my situation here where I'm at in here in Forestell, Missouri, is that, believe it or not, even though I live in the country, I still have an HOA and I can't put up my hex beam. So I've got to hide my antennas, and they're all up in the trees. And so what I've ended up having to do is just make sure I've got extra line, and I will bring the antennas down on a regular basis just to check them out, ensure that they're functional, make sure that the connection to the balun is there, and so on. It's important that we do those things. That way things stay serviceable, and we're not surprised when stuff happens, i.e., let's say we had that storm. We know that by bringing down the antenna, checking things out, what could have possibly failed, and so on. But anyway, one of the things I wanted to point out with what David did here, and oh, by the way, this is our 40-meter Sentinel hex beam. It's called the Barrett, named after my grandson. The reason why we call it the Barrett is because it's a cool name. What he's got here is a 40-meter hex beam that goes 40 meters through 10 meters, plus he has what's our broadband adapter, which gives him everything from 160 up to 40. So it's kind of nice, plus he can work 30 meters as well on it. But anyway, what he's done is he set up his antenna, his tower, so it's a crank up tower, so that he can literally lay it down on its side, so he can service the antenna and do whatever maintenance he has to do. And he's done when it comes to helping me develop some things on this project. He's done an excellent job. He's been, look at that. You can see a really cool picture of how he's able to raise the tower, and bring it back down again, and basically set things up. There's our hex beam prior to assembly. And what's really cool about it is he's got what's called a hex lock tilt plate. So as he's cranking it up, the antenna itself can be moved and switched and locked into place. So that way you don't have to mess around with having someone come in and do maintenance and so on.
That's cool. So you're saying the antenna, I noticed with the tower laying down, the antenna was standing up, and as he raises the tower, are you saying it straightens out?
Yes, he's got a gen pole that basically, as the antenna is being lifted, it basically rotates into place, and then there's a bolt that you put in it that locks it into place. And anyway, it's a pretty cool setup the way he's got it. There's a picture of the tilt plate right there. Should I zoom? Let me zoom in on that.
That's cool. Yeah.
There you go. And by the way, that's about a 2.5-inch mass piece right there. I'll get into some of the specifics, but I guess what the point is that when he put this together, he literally worked out how he was going to maintain his antenna system prior to putting it up. And when we have time to work on this, it's a good idea to spend time, and actually go through that little extra effort, because what will happen is after that storm, when that one leg blew down, you no longer have a rope to work with to, get the antenna back up into its normal position. Of course, here's David, WA8KHP, working on his hex beam. It gives you an idea of the size. But it's really kind of nice. He's able to maintain it, put things together, set things up, and so on, which is pretty cool. He's, like I said, David's done an excellent job. He's been a good friend. He's been a great help in troubleshooting some things that we had when we first started building these things. And you'll have to excuse me, I'm clipping through all my pictures real quick. But this was an example of a good station design that is set up to where you can easily maintain your antenna. Now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start talking about a couple other things. Do we have any questions on the chat room that anyone would like us to answer a question?
Well, I see some links out there for the hex lock, and some people, let's see. I don't see any specific question right now. Also, let's keep in mind that we have shortwave listeners starting tonight, and if we can take any of this data and make it kind of fit shortwave listeners too, that would be nice.
Right. Okay, let me switch over to another picture here, another set of things here. Now, what I'll try and do is not be as visual as I was planning on being, because we do have our audio listeners. So you'll see pictures, and we'll describe the pictures. I'm going to go ahead and give you the another shot of the hex lock system, which honestly, at first I hadn't really worked with them before, but once I've got 2 users right now that are using the hex locks, and it's really done an excellent job. There we go. Here it comes. Sorry, just there. Oops, wrong screen. Okay, let's try that again. Sorry about that. There we go. And here's another view of it. Now, one of the things that we talked about, or you hear me mentioning all the time, is grounding and the importance of grounding. Remember that in many cases, the signal that you have won't necessarily be as good if you don't have a decent ground. And the other thing you need to remember is that if you're not above the ground, above, let's say, one half wavelength to a wavelength, there's a good chance that the ground is eating up part of your signal. And what we want to do is we want to have the ground propagate as much of that signal back up in the air or literally follow the ground as closely as possible. So what we do is we like to put what I like to say is a radial system. I'm trying to find this picture for you real quick so I can put it up. Is that it? No, that's our 40 meter hex beam. Sorry. That's not exactly what I was wanting to do. But anyway, the advantage of it is that literally when you transmit your signal, I'm still trying to find these silly pictures. Okay, this will give you a good idea of what I'm talking about here. What you can see is in this picture, I'm going to describe it for our listening audience. In this picture, you see an antenna X amount of distance above the ground. You see also a radiating signal very close to the ground. Now what will happen is above at least one wavelength, you'll see the signal itself doesn't really do a whole lot, or it doesn't have a lot of interaction with the ground. When the antenna is closer to the ground, you can see that part of the radiating signal is literally hitting the ground and bouncing up at a specific angle. This is when where sometimes I talk about, for instance, NVIS, where we like to set the antenna at a certain altitude and then we put reflectors in a certain place, so that way we can pretty much predict where the signal is going to go up at. But the other part is depending on where you're at, a lot of times that ground is the real ground is way below you, maybe even 100 feet or so, and that doesn't work out too well when it comes to trying to get a better signal in the air. So sometimes just putting simple radials underneath the antenna, and that includes dipole antennas, will greatly improve the signal strength that is being transmitted out. The other option, here's another picture to give you an example of how it works. What this picture is basically the antenna is right here. It's a dipole, and as you can see, the signal is literally hitting the ground and then bouncing back up. Now that's a lot of times when we do simulations and so on, we always say it's perfect, the perfect ground, yada yada yada. Well, the reality is in many cases, the ground will absorb 70 to 80% of your signal when it hits it. And what you can do is you see how the line goes from the antenna itself, goes down, hits the ground, and then bounces back up again. And what we want to do is we want to get as much of that signal that's getting bounced up back up in the air instead of being absorbed by the dirt. And that's where things like the ground radial system comes into play. Plus, believe it or not, it has a tendency of reducing your noise level considerably with the better ground. Matter of fact, we've got so many people out there that have their antennas out there and they don't have a ground, and they're complaining about all this noise and all this other stuff. And by just simply putting in that ground rod, as you can see in this other picture, I've got a simple, let's just say a long wire in-fed type antenna, where you've got the ground rod down in the lower right-hand corner of the picture, and then you've got the baling matching section, whatever you want to call it, up towards the window, and then you got the wire going out and so on. And as you can see in this installation, they've got pulleys, they've got places set up to where if the antenna needed to be serviced, they could easily, just drop the line and go in there and work on it. How do you determine the physical height of an antenna to the wavelength height? Okay, in feet is okay. Yeah, there we go.
So I guess they're asking about what's the optimum distance to put an antenna above the ground.
It's not necessarily the optimum distance, because it's all depending on the type of communications that you want to do. Mm-hmm. And quite often the amateur radio operator is eclectic in the way that they communicate. So one day we're going to want to talk to someone in close by, let's say 100 miles away, and then tomorrow we're going to wake up and we're going to want to talk to someone in Spain or in Antarctica, and those are two different, let's just say, considerable distances, and in some cases angles and radiation patterns are different. And so what we try to do is we try to come up with a good all-around antenna that will give me the ability to communicate both close in and far away. And in some cases we put up multiple antennas to accommodate those goals. Interesting thing with David, he's got several antennas set up that are specifically for different functions, and what he'll do is he'll switch between the two to achieve the goal that he's looking for.
Yeah, I kind of do the same thing. I've got multiple antennas out, and I try to pick if I hear a station I want to talk to, I'll flip the antenna switch to the antenna that's hearing him the best, thinking that probably that's the one that's going to get back to him the best.
Right, and that's a good way of thinking. By the way, here's a picture of David's hex beam before he cranks it up in the air. I just had to throw that in there too. It's really nice. He actually climbed up in a tree. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, you can see how he basically. Oops, let me see if I can move things around. There you go. And this is before he cranks it up, and then once he cranks it up, he's able to, he's been able to do some pretty cool things with on RIDI and so on. The thing to remember though is that when we're doing when we bring our antenna in for maintenance and repair, or even before we put it in, there's some basic things that we need to consider. The first thing is that even though the antenna itself, as you can see here, we've got a picture of our folded terminated dipole balun, and I've got it zoomed in so you guys can see things a lot closer. What we're doing is we're looking at the balun, and now we're looking at things like the hardware, like the nuts, the bolts, the connector, and so on. Even though it's all our connectors and everything have been treated with materials to help reduce oxidization, and even when you use stainless steel still has carbon in it and has a tendency of oxidizing, or some type of galvanic action can happen in the air because of let's say you've got a little bit more salt or whatever, things happen. So what we suggest you do is that when you take those nuts and bolts and screws and all that and you look at them, coat them with something. They've already been coated with a null-ox type material, or a material specifically designed to reduce oxidization and keep that electrical connection as best as possible. Don't be afraid to paint it. As a matter of fact, we recommend, for instance, on our hex beams, paint the whole antenna. After you've got everything connected and you're sure that everything works, paint it so it protects not only the the materials, but it protects the connections and so on. Okay, half wavelengths, yeah. Oh, by the way, there is something we can talk about. I noticed people are talking about how do you figure out wavelengths and so on. Tom, do you remember what we have that's really handy dandy that we can use to pull in and figure out our half wavelength?
I do, and let me see if I can reach over here without pulling the wires off.
That's the perfect segue. You know that?
Yeah. Look, here it is, right here.
There it is. Yep. This is really kind of cool. You should have one of these with every, for every shack, every emergency kit. You can go to our website, www.radiowavz. That's RADIOWAVZ.com. And then go to our reference section, which will allow you to download this. Our basically, it's a slide rule specifically for calculating wavelengths, half wavelength, full wavelength, and so on. It's a really cool tool to have, especially in an emergency situation. You may not always have all the materials that you need. So what we're going to do is we're going to have that nice little tool, so you'll know that the wire should be about this length. Now, the basic rules for length of wires can vary based on your location. And remember, you're close to the ground. Ground does affect dipole antennas. For instance, an 80-meter off-center fed, you drive you get everything tuned up perfectly, and then all of a sudden things start going south. You'll discover that either the ground got dry, you didn't have a good ground plane, someone parked the car too close to the hedges, and now you've got interaction with the antenna. But anyway, we're going back to the whole concept of taking care of your antenna. The thing that, once again, preparation is you want to cover things up as much as possible. I know they look nice. The balun looks beautiful. It's a sexy design, but let's be real. We're going to be sticking this thing up in the air. It's going to be raining on it, snowing on it. Wind's going to be blowing on it. Birds are going to go doo-doo on it. All kinds of things are going to happen. So let's try and protect it as best we possibly can by coating those connections with a paint or whatever, so that you can. I'll go back to the picture here. so that you'll be able to. Sorry, I can't do two things at once. This is where having my wife here would be really helpful, so she could switch between, kind of like your wife. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Sorry, she's helpful. I tell you what, I don't know where I'd be without my wife. I'd be in so much trouble right now. Anyway, we're going back to the pictures. Through the pictures, I'm going to keep this one up for a second, just so that you can see that once again. Just keep things serviceable. A ground, it's important. Ground is always important. As a matter of fact, it's 33% of your signal. It's 33% of what it's going to take to get on the air. Okay, now if you don't mind, Tom, do we have anything we want to talk about? What type of paint? Oh, here's a good one. What type of paint does affect the antenna? David's got some good answers on that. A non-metallic paint. We generally use an enamel type paint. A lacquer is always good, but it wears out a lot easier. I generally use like a Rust-Oleum that does not have zinc in it. So it does a good job of coating things and protecting things and makes it serviceable so that next time when I need to work on it, the parts that need to be uncoated are uncoated. I always suggest those people who are asking questions of, the length of antenna and so on, go to our website. I have two types of here. Let me just go to the site real quick for you. Go to our website, www.radiowavz. That's RADIOWAVZ. That's VictorZebra.com. Then go over to antenna data and information, and what that will be is that will bring up the ability to download some really good manuals. One is Antennas and Propagation, which is the Army manual that a lot of communicators still use to this day to help you determine how we want to set up the antenna system. The next one is Army Antenna Systems. And then for people who really like to have a lot of pictures, we've got the Marine Corps version of the same thing. And then, of course, the Radiowavz slide rule. I suggest you download that slide rule and matter of fact, I'll go ahead and put that link out on the chat room real quick. Download that slide rule, print it. I made it just the right size so that you can go and put it on a CD-ROM. Literally, you glue it onto the CD-ROM. Now, the other thing I have in here is a slide rule that I did with ICOM that already has everything pretty much calculated. You just figure out what I want to talk on, and it will go ahead and allow you to. It'll just give you the lengths that you need to go, both metric and feet and so on. I'm just going to go ahead and pull this up real quick just for everyone's edification. And as you can see, there it is. On the front part, you have the basic calculations. You've got the bands. This one you also have to cut out and put together. Then on the back, you've got your basic, some web links, and you've got some electrical power and DC circuit type calculation formulas. So they're good resource. It's good resource material to have in your shack and in your Go kit. Do we have any questions real quick? As I was going to go ahead and do the video, if that's all right with you, Tom.
Yeah, right before you do the video, let me just make a quick announcement here. Since we're doing something a little different tonight, we're back on Shortwave, and I'd like to again welcome all of our Shortwave listeners and let them know that they're watching Amateur Radio Roundtable. It's a ham radio program, but many of us got our start at Shortwave listeners, so we're going to try to gear this program to both ham radio operators and Shortwave listeners. A lot of things we do, we both do the same things as far as antennas and grounding and propagation. There's a lot of common things there. For the people out there that have tuned in and found us on Shortwave tonight, if you want to watch this show, it's on the internet. It's at w5kub.com, w5kub.com, and there's a chat room that you can get into and talk to us. And if you would, also send me an email, tom at w5kub.com. That's TOM at w5kub. That's Kilo Uniform Bravo.com. Let us know where you're located and how the signal was tonight, and We thank you guys for joining us, and back to Emmett there, and Emmett's going to run a video, I believe.
Okay, for those of you who are visually impaired, i.e., our shortwave listening audience, I'll try and describe things. So what I'll do is I'll do a voice drop in as we're going through the video, so everyone can hear it. You can watch this video. It's on our YouTube channel. Just look up Radiowavz, and then I've got a coaxial cable and maintenance kit that we have that we put together. And then if we have time, I can even go over and show you how to do. We did a whole grounding installation, but we might do this at another time. I think that will be a good video for some other day. But anyway, here we go.
My name is Emmett, W0QH. Today I'm going to show you the Radiowavz cable installation and maintenance kit. It's a pretty handy kit designed specifically to help you prepare and maintain your RF and electrical connections outside. I've been asked many times how often one must replace or do maintenance on your coaxial connectors. The very first thing you need to do is that the very first time that you install your antenna system is to properly prepare it. And then I would recommend every seasonal change. Just go through and do a quick inspection of things like the connector, the hardware, just to make sure that corrosion hasn't started, or make sure that there's no water or moisture that's coming to the into your coaxial cable. The nice thing about the coaxial kit is it has just about everything you need to do basic maintenance on your installation on your coax or electrical connections. Inside the kit, you'll see you have 2 syringes. One has an electrical thread and joint compound. What this is Penetrox or Nolox. It's basically a natural petroleum-based product with zinc inside of it. And this basically helps to seal threads and ensure that there's no oxidization happen as it's getting exposed to the weather. The other product that's inside the kit is a dielectric filler, which is called Stuff. The neat thing about Stuff is it's basically a silicon Teflon unionizing filler. It prevents moisture infiltration by basically occupying all those open spaces in the connector. And as you can see, even in this connector, there's a considerable open space. You can see the gaps and all that. Well, that never gets filled in. And so as you know, whenever there's an open space, moisture will eventually grow. And the same thing on a regular coaxial connector, you'll see that the connector itself has quite a few different places where it's just open. There's nothing there.
Pardon the dirty fingernails. Sorry about that.
The UHF type connector has no real gasket, which will prevent the water or moisture from permeating into your connection. So what basically happens is over time, the connection, just by its very nature, will get soaked, and then your coax will get messed up, and you'll have to go get it replaced, and it's not very pretty. The other thing that you get in the kit are the basic instructions, a couple cotton pads specifically for cleaning the components on both the coax and the connector on the balun or the other device, an applicator brush. We recommend you use the applicator brush specifically with the electrical joint compound. This will be used to put on the threads. And then we have these modified Q-tips, which allow you to quite easily clean the contacts of the center contacts of the connector. And what we'll do just before we do all our installations, we'll take this, especially if it's been a used connection, as in it's been outside for a couple of weeks. I'll go ahead and use this Q-tip. Now, what I won't do is I will not rotate it. You're just going to simply press it in and then pull it back out again. And what you'll do is you'll notice that quite often, especially if it's been there for a while, there'll be some stuff, as in like oxidization, dirt, even some metal flakes from the connector off the coax, or even off the plating on the connector on the balun. And you'll notice that there's a little bit of oxide on there. And what we'll do is we'll just set that to the side. We'll also, just real quickly, once you've done the center pin, go ahead and clean out the threads as best you can. Just kind of scrub it. What you want to do is make sure it's nice and clean. Then you'll discard that piece of coax. Then what you'll do is you'll grab one of it's like a tissue material. The nice thing about this material is it's perfect for cleaning your connector, and it's also excellent for helping to remove oxidization off the connector. Even though many of the products are soldered today, there's still just a little bit of oxidization can build up. And what you'll do is you just want to wipe it off and see you have just a little bit of material that came off right there. And then it doesn't hurt to go ahead and grab another one of the Q-tips. And you see the threads inside the connector. What you'll do is you'll just go ahead and grab the Q-tip and swipe the inside of the connector. Even though it's a brand new connector, this one isn't brand new, this has been in the field, but you see that? This isn't, that's just from basic use over time. It's oxidization. What the cotton is just abrasive enough to clean off, the material, waxes or whatever. Now see it's nice and clean now. So now you've got a nice connector. Both connectors are nice and clean. And by the way, once you use the Q-tip once, don't use it again. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get the dielectric compound, the dielectric waterproofing filler. We'll remove the little plug at the end of the, what you do is you just go ahead and unscrew it or remove it, move it. And you'll see there's just a little bit of this white foam. The stuff, it's called stuff. And if you have the ability or you have the type of connector where you can move the head shell back, what you do is you just unscrew it. And as you can see real closely, you can see all that gap. Now what you're going to do is you're going to put a bead, a small bead of this stuff right around the connector itself. Just like that. Should almost look like a donut. And what will happen is when both the connector and the balun or the other connection device come together, it'll cause all that foam to fill up all the individual gaps. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the electrical thread and joint compound, which is either Nolux or Penetrox. I'm going to remove the end cap. And instead of applying it directly to the threads, what I prefer to do, because you don't need to use a lot of this. You just need a dab. A little dab will do you. Remember that? Just a little drop, just like that. And what you're going to do is you're going to apply it to the threads of the connector, just like that.
Whoops, it's a little bit off lens there. Sorry about that.
All the threads, because what will happen is as the connector itself wipes across the threads, it'll pick up all the compound and create a better seal. And another thing you'll notice on these PL type connectors are these little teeth right here. These little teeth match up to this component right here. And it's always a very good idea to get those teeth locked into place. And so what I'll do is I'll move it. What I'll do is I'll bring things together. Now I'm going to go ahead and start screwing the head shell down, because what I want to do is I want to get all that foam to fill the connectors, all the empty space in the connector. Okay, what I'll do is I'll rotate the connector just a little bit to see if it's locked in place, which it has. Okay, I've got everything connected. And then what you've done is you've literally created an almost waterproof seal. The last thing that I would recommend you do is go ahead and tape your connection or use some other type of waterproofing material on the outside. The next thing you can do just prior to installation is you'll take your applicator one more time and you'll put another drop or two on the paintbrush or on the applicator brush. There you go, just a drop. You don't have to squeeze it really hard. It comes out pretty quickly. And what you do is if everything's already connected, like the wire and such, I would just go ahead and just apply just brush that stuff on there, just slather all over the place. And what will happen is this compound will sacrifice itself over time and prevent things like oxidization and rust. Okay, and you'll do the same thing to the other side. You'll apply just a drop. A dab will do you every time. You just put it on the screw. And there you go. And this should be good to last for at least a season, if not more. The nice thing about this is it'll make everything serviceable. You can now just, for your reference, just to show you what happened, I'm going to unscrew this a little bit. Now you're going to see how that foam dielectric literally filled the gaps. See that? Water cannot permeate through there. And because we put the threading, we put the oxidization on, or the joint compound on the threads, it literally filled things up, so it's not going to leak very easily. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoy this product. It's a very useful.
Okay, well there you go. That was our connector kit, and basically you don't necessarily It's not necessarily that you need to go out and buy a kit. The whole idea is that you take a look at the connector and make sure that things are clean. I had a friend of mine that I visited up in Milwaukee, and we went into his shack, and literally he had some coax that he's had for almost 20 years and he's never touched it. And he was concerned that he was having problems with his radio and sound signals and everything. Things were really getting funky. Turns out that literally these silver connectors had oxidized. A couple of them had literally bonded with the other connector inside the radio itself. So we had all kinds of fun taking that thing apart. But anyway, that's the big gist of of just some real quick, simple maintenance things. Now, remember, let's review real quick what we talked about. Number one, let's consider that we've got weather coming in. All right. Before we get to that point, just like with David Bibby's setup, he pre-planned things. He set things up. He had a checklist that he went through. And what I suggest is that create your own little checklist. Okay, this is what we need to do. Check coax connections, check grounding, check to make sure that the antenna is secure in the air. There's nothing more dangerous than having a section of antenna falling out of the air, even 50 feet, 20 feet. Could be deadly in some situations. Some of this equipment that we stick up in the air could be, 5 to 10 pounds. 5 to 10 pounds at 75 feet is quite dangerous. So like I said, check your equipment, check your connections. After the storm has come through, take a quick peek if you can safely do it. Okay, let's be reasonable here. If you can safely go out and take a look at things before you operate, check your antenna, go through the whole checklist one more time. And then once everything is done, go on in and operate. That's what it's all about. But like I said, the number one thing is how do you prepare for the storm? Number one, you check things out. You set up your station so that it's serviceable, so that when it comes time for you to do maintenance or perform maintenance, it'll be more, you'll be able to more easily accomplish those goals than if you just threw the antenna up in the air and you just use just enough line to keep it up there, and you pray to God that nothing really major happens to it, and that you're not going to have to go back and try and restring the whole antenna system again.
So, Tony, KC2YPG asked if petroleum jelly would work to seal.
Well, the thing with the petroleum jelly has a tendency of being an insulator. I suggest the Penetrox or the other type of material, because it does conduct electricity and it does not damage the electrical contact component of the thing. The other reason why we use it is that it literally just fills in those gaps. When I do high power work, I generally recommend people use the N-type connector, because it's designed, it has its own internal seals and everything, so that we're not going to have to worry about arc overs and so on. A lot of people that have gone through a storm, they'll start working and they'll hit their amplifier, and next thing you know, all we hear about is this arcing that happened, and what it was moisture had permeated inside of that connector, right in that head shell, where we saw those big gaps. And by not treating them properly, you're going to have those kind of problems.
That center pin on an end connector looks awful small to me, man. Does it handle the power okay?
Well, it's not necessarily. The very, very center of the pin is literally a pin, but you'll notice that it's all about the surface area of that pin. And when it comes in contact with the connector on the other side, it forms a high current, high voltage, and fairly waterproof seal, and that's what we're looking for.
Okay. Trying to look back through the chat room here. I don't see any recent questions. So, winter's coming. It's going to get cold out here. I'm not going to want to go out, but my antennas aren't coming down. My ropes have grown into trees. They've been up quite a while, so I'm just going to have to live with it, I guess. And then when it falls, I'll just put it back up again,
Yeah, you'll be calling Emmett, and Emmett will take care of you.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, have you? Maybe we'll talk for a minute about just receiving antennas for shortwave here in a minute. But I don't want to stop your presentation here. Have you got through most of it yet, or?
Oh, we're done.
Are we okay?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, on the receiving antenna, for those of you shortwave listeners out there, the one thing that I have ever since I was a kid, I think when I was 8 years old, I think I told several people this, that how I got started in ham radio or amateur radio was I wanted to listen to the Omaha Royals baseball games at night. and I didn't have a radio in my room. And, you know, at that time, radios weren't exactly cheap. So I went to the library and I checked out a book on how to make a cat's whisker radio. And when I started listening to that radio that I made, and by the way, back in that day, we had our telephones were leased from the Bell Company. So I got in so much trouble from my dad because I ended up using the little the speaker piece out of the radio or out of the telephone. But the thing was, is the world opened up to me. I was able to hear things that I'd never thought was out there. And from that moment on, I was hooked. And then I was also hooked on building things to get a better signal. And what was interesting is when the Royals were out of town, I would try and pick up the radio stations, the AM radio stations, or even in some cases the shortwave radio stations that were broadcasting the game. And that's where I started learning about how to build antennas and how to make them, you know, more, let's say, optimized for the frequencies that I'm trying to listen to. So for shortwave listeners out there, I would suggest go to our website, download that manual. It's free, and it has some really good ideas and suggestions on how to build what's called field expedient antennas, or for shortwave listening purposes, an antenna that will work for the frequencies that you're trying to listen to.
Yeah, you know, I was Randy had a question here. What he wants to know: what do you think, crimp connectors or solder connectors?
Actually, I do both.
Yeah.
The old style where you have to solder the center pin, then you solder the braid. Even NASA has gotten away from that because of the intrinsic problems that occur with overheating and so on. It becomes an art form and doing those PL type connectors. What we do is we use the type of connector where we solder the center pin, and then we crimp the outer pin. And by the way, when we do our connections like that, we also put a small amount of that Nolox or the Penetrox in the sleeve, and then we crimp it down. And then what we'll also do is we'll go ahead. Let me see if I can find a piece of coax here that I'm working on, or that we have a sample of. I don't have it, but the thing is the thing behind that though is that you know, there's the solder connection seems to be better, but I prefer to go with the crimp type. And even, like I said, even NASA is doing the same thing. And the crimp pressure is so strong that you rarely have a huge issue with you know, the connector coming apart. Matter of fact, I'm going to share a screen with you again real quick. Oh, there we go. Yep, that's me back in the day working at an AM radio station. We were in the process of replacing their ground plane as well as doing some other things. And that's my son, Montana, who's now in the Army, working in the bucket with me. That's kind of cute. But the picture I was showing you is a good shortwave listening antenna, believe it or not, is one of our DX antennas. It's a simple off-center fed antenna. It's resonant on multiple frequencies. It'll be relatively low noise. We use a current balun instead of a voltage balun. So even at that, it makes the antenna a little bit more efficient, a lot more better when it comes to sounding. W8NGA. Actually, I do have a couple videos on how to do PL259 connectors, and Tom, I think at another day that would be a good show for us to do. What do you think, buddy?
Sure. Yeah, there's an art in putting those on.
So anyway, like I said, a couple things you can do for shortwave listening. One, download the wheel. Two, download the manual and just go through it and figure out what antenna you can put together that works best for you in your situation. And everybody in the world, how do I say this, has a different situation. I mean, you know, just like we're different people, your antenna installation is going to be different as well.
Yeah. You know, for shortwave listeners, there's probably been hundreds of millions of cheap shortwave radios sold or dropped around the world. Some governments just drop them out
Yep.
of airplanes in their countries so people can listen. But a lot of these new radios are very sensitive, and they probably don't have a connection for an external antenna. Now, some of the more hardened shortwave listeners probably, they have some radios that maybe has an external antenna connector, or some of the old radios, and I think you've got to kind of experiment a little bit. I don't know that you could actually put a very long antenna on a small sensitive radio. Now let's see what Emmett's got here. What do you got there, Emmett?
Tom, you made me go back into the closet.
Yeah, there we go.
Anyway, what this is a really cool product. It's an MFJ active antenna, and it's designed for exactly that, where you basically can put several different types of connections on the back of the antenna, or the back of the radio, input, output, and you have two different types, the RCA, and then you have the PL, and then you even have a place where you can have like a simple telescoping antenna. This is a really cool product. As a matter of fact, I've had this since, 1990 something, and I still use it to this day when I go in the field when I'm trying to listen. And what this will do is it takes care of a lot of that front end problem that you have with the lesser expensive, how do I say this, shortwave radios. Now, by the way, this is the MFJ model 1020B, and it's called the MFJ active antenna. It's a great product for shortwave listening. If you have just random wire, it's a good product to have as well. I've got a couple other products in the closet. I can bring those out real quick. But the big thing though is that these are kind of nice. And then sometimes you could even go with an inexpensive. The inexpensive, I think it's like $50 or $75 from MFJ. They've got a simple, inexpensive tuner that allows you to switch around and basically peak the signal that you want.
All right, so for our shortwave listeners out there tonight, if they want to put an antenna up, they can. They need to put a ground rod in, I guess, at least some type of ground system.
I suggest it. One thing that you're going to discover, especially with these shortwave listening radios, is there's going to be a lot of noise. The noise is created by your LED lights, your switcher, power supply in your TV, and so on. And by connecting ground or putting in the ground, you'll do a whole lot better when it comes to reducing the noise.
So let's talk a little about another antenna. I hear a loop antenna is a little less noisy. A loop antenna would be good for them to use, right?
Most definitely. A loop antenna is kind of nice. It cuts down on the noise. We're dealing more in the magnetic world than we are in the how do I say it? Than we do in the voltage world, which things like transformers and so on have a tendency of making lots of noise. Things like the active antenna work very well connecting up to that loop. So basically what it's doing is you got the loop as the receiver, and then you've got the receiving antenna. Then you use the active antenna component to basically tune the different bands. And the way this is set up is it's variable, so you can just rotate it. It rotates really simple. Then you got different taps into a coil that make it even easier to basically get that signal to work properly. I'm going to run back in the closet real quick and see what else I can find.
Okay, all right, very good. And I see
right,
Dan.
folks, I'm going into the closet.
He's going into the closet here. I see Dan Romanchik on here, KB6NU. He was supposed to be on here tonight. Dan, I sent you an email. The issue we have is I was not going to be able to play your video and have you on at the same time until we straighten out some configuration issues here. When we went to shortwave tonight, we had to rearrange a lot of the systems and the way the audio feeds. So that caused us a problem. Again, hello to all our shortwave listeners. This is Amateur Radio Roundtable. You're listening on WBCQ radio, 9930 kilohertz, coming to you out of Monticello, Maine. If you're hearing the show for the first time tonight, shoot us an email, tom@w5kub.com. That's TOM at W5KUB, W5 Kilo Uniform Bravo.com. Shoot us an email and let us know if you heard the show tonight. And this was an interesting night for us to see where the signals might be falling tonight on shortwave. I noticed a lot of people saying they're not hearing it, but it'd be interesting to see tomorrow or tonight when we get emails where people may have actually picked it up tonight. So Emmett, he's coming back. He's got something else he wants to show.
Coming back out of the closet.
Go ahead, Emmett.
Okay, the other thing I have, the one thing I need to point out with this active antenna is it has a little preamp or a tuning circuit inside of here. So there's a little electrical interface. So you do have to hook up some voltage to it to make it really work right, even though it will still basically work without it. But that little preamp helps a lot in not overloading your radio. Now the other thing is if you don't want to do that, you can always go with. I also have this little thing, and I use this all the time when I'm doing some QRP type operations. Little MFJ portable tuner. It's a little thing. It's not that big. It even gives you connections on the back for what right here. Oops, wrong side. This side right here for a long wire. So you just connect the wire, you connect your ground. There it is, right there. You connect your ground, and then you connect the radio to the tuner, and then you have two knobs, which allows you to tune for peak.
So now, where would you hook a loop? Would you hook it across where it says balance, probably?
Yep, I would do that because it's got a little balun built into it that helps to offset things. One thing also to remember, because you are a shortwave listener, quite often, even though it says it's supposed to work at a certain frequency, what I've always done is I'll basically mess with the tuner till I get maximum signal, and that's all you have to do. You don't have to have a transmit. As a matter of fact, when we're dealing with people on the maintenance side of things at Radiowavz, is what we'll do is we'll have someone turn off their AGC on their radio and just basically listen to the flat signal, and we'll have them tune the radio up and down the band to where they hear the loudest signal, as in the loudest amount of noise, and that'll give us an idea about where the antenna is resonant. Now, what you're going to be doing in this situation is you're basically going to be using the tuner to create that loud. In other words, you'll know when you're close because the signal will get really strong and then it'll get weak again, and that's what you're looking for. Tune to the strongest signal, and then you're good. And then if you change frequencies, you're gonna have to start all over again. And as a shortwave listener, one thing that would be helpful, if you're listening to the same, let's say, stations on a regular basis, keep a little piece of paper either on as a matter of fact, you'll see on this tuner, with a specific antenna I was using, I mark what basically the settings are going to be on the tuner for that specific band. So I know that for instance, with that 102-inch stainless steel whip antenna I was using, I need to turn the knobs to the different things. For instance, it says 2B4, so basically it transmits to dial 1 is 2, and then the inductance is B, and then the other section is 4. And it's that simple. It's not complicated. And that's the whole thing about this, especially on the shortwave listening side. Keep it simple. The less complicated you get, the better off you're going to be.
Well, I agree with you. And I've been looking at some of these shortwave groups on Facebook, and let me tell you, there's some collectors out there that are collecting and refinishing, refurbing some of these old radios. I don't know what happened to my first shortwave radio. It was one of these big Zenith, floor models. It stood about 4.5, 5 feet tall, big round dial in the middle, and man,
that thing, the tubes.
Oh man, I had probably a 12-inch speaker in it and the tubes, and boy, it would really pick up signals, man.
What was really funny, I remember when I was in high school, it just seemed like all my girlfriends' dads and family members loved me because I'd come in and work on the radio for them so they could listen better, or I'd replace the tubes. They didn't have to spend money on the repairman, which I thought that was kind of funny. Got an in with the family, so I had that going for me.
Yeah. Okay, I've got a shout out to KE4NRD. I'm going to shout real loud to him. He said he'll give us a better signal strength reading if we shout out loud to him. NE4RD out in Montana. I'll say hello to him. He'll probably be in Hangout after a while. All right, well, Emmett, thanks a lot for the discussion tonight. And man, we can't wait to have you back on again, and we'll talk more antennas.
I thought tonight was pretty informative. I really enjoy coming on and working with you, Tom. Anytime you need anything, we'll do that. I like the suggestion of doing a little quick video on how to do connectors. What I'll do is I'll set up at the station. I'll have one of our techs go ahead, or I'll probably have Kevin do it. We'll videotape him putting together a connection just so you can see how it's done, and we'll go from there.
All right, very good. 73, and
73, sir.
We'll talk to you later, and
I
appreciate you coming on tonight. Thanks.
Oh, by the way, just for everybody's reference, this weekend, of course, it's the weekend before December 7th, and there's going to be a lot of activity on the air from all these different ships from all around the United States that participated in World War II. Believe it or not, Tom, this weekend I'm going to be on a submarine. That's right, a submarine. I'm going to be on the USS Batfish, and we're going to be operating on Saturday and a little bit on Sunday. We're not necessarily going to be part of the official event, but because we are on the boat and we're going to be operating from the station, I would love to hear people check in. And the thing that's going to make it kind of special is we're doing this with kids. So the kids are going to be the ones who are going to be operating the station from inside the submarine. Isn't that cool?
Now, is this thing going out anywhere, or is it just docked?
Oh, it's landlocked.
It's landlocked. Okay.
It's a museum.
Yeah, I thought it might be there.
And what's really cool is it's set up with radios inside and radios in the museum. And what's going to be neat is we're going to have the kids operate the station, and they're literally going to spend their entire weekend in a submarine. Can you imagine that?
That is so cool. Hey, next time we have you on, I want you to talk to us about antennas, shortwave antennas that operate underwater.
Okay. We can do that.
Yeah.
I've done that.
Okay. That'd be a good topic, All right, 73. We'll see you later. All right.
Catch you later, Tom.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Okay, that was Emmett Hohensee, W0QH. He's the chief engineer of Radiowavz, and the guy knows his business, and let me tell you, he's got the antennas all over the world. You ought to go check his site out and see what he's got going there. And tonight was our first night. I don't know how things worked out on the shortwave. The frequency is 9930. I think it's a typo on their website. So we'll try it again next week. I looked at the footprint pattern from the station, and there was areas, especially up around New England, where you're just not going to hear the station because you're so close. It's WBCQ. It's in Monticello, Maine, and they run 50,000 watts, and they've got a Yagi antenna up for this. It's a 12.4 dB gain Yagi, I think, and that kind of interested me when I looked at the Yagi. It's not a log periodic or anything like this, and they've got it aimed down toward Mexico City, and it's supposed to carry the coverage area. I think is the Caribbean, South America, Mexico. It should cover the United States fairly well. So I'm not sure tonight what happened. We kind of jumped on there in the last minute. We configured our audio up today with the station, and that caused us some issues as far as how to operate things tonight. But I think it went pretty well. We had good video from Emmett. Let's see. We normally have a Hangout after a while where people call in from Hangout, but let me do something. Let me. I'm gonna try to open a phone line up here. Let me put a phone number up here. Let's see if we can get a. Let's see if somebody will call in. And I'd like. Well, Emmett, I'm gonna have to turn you off to make the call work. That's the problem. I can't run two things on that PC at one time. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign off with you, Emmett. And yeah, thanks. We're gonna see if anybody can give us a call tonight. It'd be nice if it was a shortwave listener that called in tonight. That'd be cool. But I guess if the shortwave listener wants to call, he needs to know the number. It's 901-729-9451. That's 901-729-9451. So let's see if somebody give us a call tonight. Let's put one of our viewers on the show tonight. The clock is ticking, tick, 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 tick. Somebody's dialing. I know somebody's dialing. It should work. Let's just see. I'll give it a couple minutes here. In the meantime, we will be fine-tuning things next week for our show and trying to get all this equipment running, and maybe we'll try to get a little bit more information on the shortwave propagation and everything. So 901-729-9451. I'm waiting. I noticed the last time we had a lot of people in here, but they were kind of shy. They did not want to. They didn't want to call in. Oh, we got a call. Let's see who this is. It's coming from 215 area code. Let's see who this is. Hello there.
Couldn't leave you hanging.
Yeah, who is that?
This is Jeff.
Yeah, after you said this is Jeff, I knew who you were, man. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing good, Jeff. Jeff is up in New Jersey. See, I remembered that.
That's correct. Yeah, and I could not hear the shortwave broadcast, but show looked great. A couple changes to the chat room and the way you look tonight, but it's good.
Yeah, so are you still there?
I'm here.
Yeah, okay. I had another call coming in. I canceled it. There's no way to turn off call waiting on Google.
Call waiting
on
right.
Google Voice. There's no way to turn it off. You're actually coming in on the computer here. So that's cool. And you know, I was looking at the footprint, and I don't think that hey, the shortwave station was showing just about zero coverage for the first 100 to 200 miles up there, up in New England, you know, so.
Right.
I don't know. I think at the beginning of the show, we had some good reports at the beginning of the show, but toward the end, we were not, I wasn't hearing anybody saying they were hearing it, so I don't know if we went off the air or what happened. Hey, for anybody out there in the chat room, if you heard the show at the beginning, I'd like to hear, if you did hear the show come on, at 8 o'clock. Let us know if you heard it then. So Jeff, let's see. We had W4WNT Bill. He gave us a Bravo Zulu almost for the show. He said it was good tonight. Interesting show by Mike KE8L. And let's see, thanks for the show. Russ said thanks. He's KG0BK. So I hope it was interesting enough for people and they learned something. I would love to have antennas up where I have mine up with pulleys up there, but I just can't get them up there. There's no way. And you know, I should have moved my rope around every 6 months or so. My rope probably has grown into the trees now, so I couldn't pull those things down if I wanted to.
We all have that problem.
Yeah, and they're too high to climb, you know.
Very good.
Oh, man.
Well, I'll look forward to seeing you. Hopefully everything will work out tonight in Google Hangouts.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll shut down. We'll take maybe one more call. Someone else tried to call. We'll take one more call probably, and after that I'll try to open up the Google Hangout, and that's where anybody that wants to join us on the show, if you got a camera, you'll be able to call into Google Hangout, and I'm gonna give you a link on the show. The link is at the top of the show.
Yeah, the very top. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm gonna copy and paste it down here. So if you'll click on this link, that will bring you into the show with your camera, and you can join us on here. So Jeff, thanks a lot for calling in. I'm gonna go ahead and get off, and whoever that was calling, that second call, go ahead and give us a call now. And Jeff,
All
maybe
right,
I'll
thanks,
see you
Tom,
in a minute. All right.
Okay, and Kathy, I'm glad you're on the mend. Very good.
All right, thank you.
Good night.
All right, well, let's try to take one more call. 901-729-9451. That was Jeff. N3, what's Jeff? N3VE, I think, up in New Jersey. He usually gets on Hangout with us, so if I messed his call up, he'll probably let me know here in a minute. All right, so hey, the countdown clock is going. You got about 30 seconds to call in if you want to call in and say hello. 901-729-9451. I see Glenn Popel on here, KW5GP. Glenn is the author of the ARL book, Arduino for Ham Radio. I think I got that right. Arduino for Ham Radio. And I think Glenn's working on some more, another book, and he's also working on a lot more Arduino projects. We're going to have Glenn on here probably, hopefully in the next few weeks. It's been pretty tough for Glenn to find some spare time. All right, we got another call coming in. Let's see who this might be. Hello?
Yes, Tom.
Yes.
Russ, KG0BK from Iowa.
BK. Russ, how you doing?
Doing real well tonight. Thank you for the show. Wanted to let you know that I was able to hear both or two of your stations, shortwave stations here in Iowa. They were a little weak, but band's really long tonight.
Well, you may be confusing us with the 5085 station. Is that one of the stations that you were talking about?
Oh, I have to go back to memory here and see.
That's all right.
Yeah, 5085.
Yeah. Did you hear us on 9930?
I could hear you there, but it was real weak.
Yeah.
This one was still weak, and it sounded like you, but I wasn't real sure.
Yeah, the 5085 is WTWW. That's the station that we used to be on. We were on there for about 5 months with our show on 5085. That's out of Lebanon, Tennessee, and we've made a change. We're now on WBCQ 9930 up in Monticello, Maine. So we've made a switch. So I think that Ted is still using the same time slot, 5085. He does some shortwave and some interviews during that time. So that's probably what you were hearing on 5085.
Okay, all right. Well, anyway, you're coming through on one of them anyway, and thank you for the show tonight. Second time I've watched it, and I've got you dialed in here. We're gonna watch every week.
Okay, well, great. And you know what? Your audio and your phone's coming through here just perfect. I'm really happy with the way this is working. What we did, instead of you calling in now on the telephone and me interfacing the telephone to our webcast here, you're coming in directly on the computer. I'm using Google Voice for the phone, and I just answer you on the computer here. So, and it's all hooked together. So it's doing really well tonight, I think.
Well, that's pretty awesome. The caller before me sounded real well, too, on the air. So thank you again, Tom, and we'll hope to talk to you again soon.
Okay, Russ, thanks very much for calling in. Bye-bye.
You betcha.
Okay, guys. Well, that was a nice, clear call with Russ out there. Let me check the chat room here real quick. Yeah, I got Jeff's call right. N3VE. I think I got it right. And Brian says that the book's on his wish list. Well, save your money up. It's well worth it to get that Arduino book. There's a lot of ham radio projects in there. And I tell you something, I'm going to work on this year, guys. I'm a home brewer myself. I'm going to build the little Mighty. It's called the Mighty 40. It's a double sideband transceiver. This is a double sideband transceiver, and it's about 6 inches square. It has very few parts in it. It's got like 4 transistors, an audio chip, an LM386 audio chip, and it uses the NE602 chip for the mixer. You can probably buy all the parts to build this entire double sideband 40 meter transceiver probably for under $35. I'm going to build that up, and the way it's configured right now is it uses instead of putting a crystal in there, they use a ceramic filter. It's a 7.2 meg ceramic filter, and they use a diode with it and a voltage on it, and by changing the voltage you can actually swing the frequency of that 7.2 meg, and it actually covers from about 71 80 to almost 7280, nearly the whole voice band, and it sounds outstanding. And I've seen videos where guys talking, they've actually checked in the nets. It runs 3 or 4 watts. It's going to be so easy to build. But what I was going to say about this is, I'm going to, after I get it built working, then I'm going to take that ceramic filter out, and I'm going to take an Arduino DDS build a DDS VFO. You can build the Arduino VFO, the DDS VFO, probably for about $15. The nice thing about it is, that VFO will go from 0 to 30 megs, but all I want is the 40 meter portion. The nice thing about it is it has a readout. It has a digital readout on the frequency, and it's so cool. You can punch the knob in, and you can change it to, when you rotate the knob to like 100 kilohertz. 100 cycle clicks, or you can push it again, and you can change it to like 500 kilocycles, or you can punch a button in again and tune a lot faster. But I'm going to take that Arduino VFO and put that output into this little double sideband transceiver, and that ought to be a smoking hot little transceiver. I've already started collecting the parts for it. I think I'm going to breadboard it first. I'm going to show you on the air after I get it breadboarded, and we'll hook it up and we'll show you how it operates. Then after I get it operating, then we'll probably move it into a little box or something. Let's see, double sideband bounce modulator, but no crystal filter. Yeah, you ought to look it up. Look up the Mighty 40 if you're interested in building it. I think it's called the Micro 40, MICRO, Micro 40. It is a neat little radio, and man, when he tunes it, it sounds like $1 million when he tunes it across the band. Very interesting. Okay, well, thanks for everybody for joining us tonight. It worked out pretty well. We've got some shows lined up coming up in the future. Can't tell you exactly what dates yet, but I think we got some good ones coming up. We've been on we've had our Tuesday night show now for 10 months. We haven't missed a week yet for 10 months. Something's going to happen, guys. I'm going to be traveling, or Christmas, or something's going to happen, and I'm going to have to miss one of these shows. But we're almost coming up to the 1 year mark, and been very happy with it. I think you've noticed probably that the webcast quality has greatly improved since the beginning when we started 10 months ago. We have near HD quality now on the video. I think the past couple weeks you've probably noticed a lot of the buffering issues we had with our video provider probably aren't there anymore. And in fact, if someone could tell me in the chat room, how did the video hold up tonight on our main page? Did you have lots of buffering, or did the video hold up, do you think, much better than it has previous shows. Now, one of the interesting things about buffering and not getting it, I saw it tonight on here. Somebody says, there's no video, there's no audio. Well, other people are getting the video and audio. And I've had people before tell me, oh, it's buffering so much I can't watch it. Well, other people tell me, hey, it's been solid the whole time. So anyway, we have tried to make some improvements. I think by going to the YouTube live video, we put more quality in. It allows us to do HD now instead of standard definition. And the nice thing about it is when we do a show like this, it's automatically recorded. So it keeps me from having to go back and do a lot of editing and uploading and downloading a two gig file. When we stop this show, the show is already recorded and on YouTube. So, that's what I like. Okay, have not buffered once. Great. Had no issues. Videos improved. No buffering at all. And I'm using the iPhone. It's great. No glitches. Video great. Video, audio, awesome. I love to hear that, man. Video sounded great here, but I'm working with a fat internet pipe. Well, I've had guys tell me, a month ago, I've got 100 megs down and 100 megs up, but it's buffering. Well, there's not much I can do about it. 100 megs down, 100 up, and it's buffering. I don't know how it's getting to him, but obviously the YouTube service is giving us a much more consistent stream than Ustream. We do have Ustream. We're still using it as our backup server. If we don't get on if we can't get on YouTube, we're on Ustream, and there's a button at the bottom of our page that says backup server, and usually you can see a recording of the show there on, if you just go to w5kub.com. Usually well, let me take that back because things have changed. We do make a copy of the show on Ustream, but usually it's not near the quality, and we don't do any editing with it. We just keep it. But now when you go to w5kub.com, the first video, I think, on the screen there that you can click on will be the most recent. Let's see. Thanks, Don. KC9ZMV. Thanks a lot. Fran says it held up all night. Perfect. It's working out on the left coast. All right. I think it was working also on the right coast too. All right. Well, I'm gonna just bring Hangout up and just see if anybody wants to join us on Hangout. It'll just take me a minute. So let me see if I can figure out how to get into our Hangout here. Take me 1 second. And I've got a bunch of boxes I have to close. Okay, there's my link. And there we go. Well, we got one in there. Jeffrey's in there. He's probably doing it. He's staying late just for us. Hey, Jeffrey. How you doing, Jeffrey? Can you hear me? Jeffrey? Oh, my mic is muted. Hang on. All right, now. Hey, Jeffrey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, man. Let me get the picture of you over on the webcast here. Let's see. That ought to do it right there. Let's see.
Hey, there we go.
We got, look at there. Yeah, we're starting to pop in here now. Let me adjust this picture here a little. If I can figure out how to do it. Let me go there. Let me do an edit shot, and I'm going to slide your picture over.
All right.
And that ought to make you center right there. I'm going to hit go, and it should take you over there. There we go. All right, so, wow. Look at there, and look who joined us there. William out in Montana joined us.
How's it going this evening?
Doing good. Hey, Byron joined us. Byron, how you doing? Your mic is muted.
Hey, William, how you doing?
Good. How's it going?
Now let's see. What am I looking at here? Let's see. There's me. There's Jeffrey. All right. What am I got here? Oh, let's see. Okay. I'm hearing funny noises. Are you guys hearing funny noises?
Yes.
I don't know what's causing it. Probably just feedback.
It's going now.
All right. Very, very good. Okay, hey, for everybody that's still out there watching, we got still about 60-something users in the chat room. This is a Roundtable, or the Hangout part, where if you want to join the show, you can just by clicking on that link. Let me take that phone number off so we won't get any more phone calls. There we go. So join us and get on the show. We've got William there with a cigar out in is it in Billings?
It is Billings, Montana.
Out in Billings. We got Jeff there. He's out in New Jersey somewhere.
Cherry Hill, New Jersey, right outside of Philadelphia.
Cherry Hill. All right, and then there we go. We got Byron on here. Byron, your mic is muted.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it muted.
Oh, okay. There you go. All right, pretty good. Where are you located?
Mississippi, about 80 miles down 78 from Memphis.
Oh, okay. You're not too far away then. Okay, very good. Very good. All right. So let me jump back over here to Jeff here real quick. Now, Jeff, what am I going here? I've got too many videos going. Look, hang on a minute. Oh man, I've really got them going now, haven't I? Okay, I've got to turn that off. Hang on.
And you're in trouble.
Whoa. I was getting feedback on the videos there. Okay.
Flashbacks from the 60s, right, Tom?
Yeah. It kind of looked psychedelic there for a second, man.
Like the infinity mirror, except the camera.
Yeah, kind of reminded me of the 60s there. Let's see what's going on in the chat room. As I was going to explain to people in the chat room there, this is our roundtable where anybody that wants to join us can join us and get on the show. Let me adjust this picture again here. That's probably better right there. All right, there we go. What mode is that in the background? What mode? What's he talking about? What mode? Oh, what mode? I don't know who he's talking about.
I think he's talking about that feedback.
Oh, that noise. Well, yeah. It sounds
me.
like some kind of data or something.
Sorry. I have my radio fed through the board. I just turned it off.
It really didn't sound like feedback. It sounded, I don't know, man. It sounded like some kind of, digital signal, real slow speed digital signal, Yeah.
Yeah, it was JT65.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
it was JT65 on 40 meters.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't work it. I was going to say something like PSK 31 or whatever, but maybe that's close. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have all the audio patched through to both headsets, so I didn't know my radio was still turned up.
Yeah. Well, let's see. We've got. Let's see. Let me check the thing here. Great show. Let's see. A Hangout link. Let me give you the Hangout link again. It's at the top up in the topic. If it's the chat room, it's in the topic. You can click on it. But here it is again. If you want to try to join us, and let's see. Ham Radio said the Logic Cam is crap for video. Well, some Logic cams probably are. Logic, what is it? Logitech probably are, but I tell you, I've got a camera here. I mean, they're 1080p. I got some HD, some little small Logitech cameras that are, HD 1080p, and they make good pictures. They just don't have things like zoom on them and things like that. We use those for our webcast for a long time. In fact, when we go out on a drive and we webcast our drive, like from here to Dayton, a 10-hour drive, that's what we'll have on the dash is probably a Logitech 1080p HD webcam sitting on the dash right there. Let's see. Yeah, Walter says, oh, there's Walter. Hey, Walter. KJ4 UCE. Walter is a friend of mine, and Walter has been on the show here with us before. He's a neighbor that lives down the street from me, and he's a wide body pilot for FedEx. And Walter just checked in the chat room. He said it's cold in North Dakota, so I guess he had to land his plane up in North Dakota there. Walter, you coming back tonight, or are you gonna have to stay up here in the cold? And hi to Don. Don made it in here tonight.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you. Yeah, well, I'm glad we got a doctor on here. Now I can ask all my doctor questions. You know?
Got a doctor and a pilot and an engineer.
That's true, yeah, you know. Well, you know, Kathy went back after, 2 to 3 weeks, had her arm x-rayed again. You know, they put it in a cast, and guess what? The bone had moved. So, you know what that means? And I don't know if you saw the pictures or not, but I don't know, early this week, went into surgery, and they put that plate, you know, in her arm there.
And you were going to do that the day after the last show, I believe.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we had a show on Tuesday. Yeah, and we had the surgery on Wednesday, so it's been right at a week, almost a week. And she's doing really good. And she's been off the pain meds for about 3 days at least, and doing good, you know, not complaining. So, yeah, it's working out pretty good.
That's good news.
It just kind of extended her healing. You know, usually it takes about 6 weeks, and after about 3, we started over. And oh man, I hate to be a doctor. I think he said he thought he was going to have a little problem getting that bone apart. You know, I guess he had to kind of break it apart again. Yeah, I guess it kind of healed a little bit for 3 weeks, and he had to, you know, put that plate in there and straighten it. So you doctors are mean. You know that.
I know it.
Just get the big hammer out and break it again. That's all.
Man, yeah. Oh man. Well, you know, after 3 weeks, I don't think that bone could grow back together that hard. So probably just 2 hands and a good twist probably took it apart.
Yeah, those things will knit together pretty quickly. You know, that forms what's called a callus, and then the callus ossifies and becomes bone again. So.
Oh yeah.
Well,
it was probably well on its way to healing. It was probably halfway there, you know. So, but we got a good doctor. We really liked him, and you know, he's sharp, and you know, I think he did a great job there. Well, Walter, my pilot buddy, just said he gets to come home tomorrow morning. He's going to come back through Omaha. So he's up where it's cold right now, up in North Dakota, spending the night. I guess, I don't know why they don't let him fly back out of there.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that.
That's all right. So, so what do we got in the background here, William? That's a camper back here, right?
Oh yeah. This is my dirty garage shack. I got my camper, got the bikes.
Oh, I see the bikes.
Stuff I haven't.
I see the bikes here. I thought at first it looked like a jet engine or something on top there when I looked at it. You know, it's kind of. Yeah.
I thought that too. It looked like some sort of like.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing that exciting. No, just unfortunately, I got the shack stuffed here in the corner of the garage.
Yeah. Well, Jill, I see Jill's on here.
Out in the garage, huh?
Yeah. I'm out in the garage until I get one of the kids off to college.
Yeah, well, there you go.
KD8QGA Jill up in Ohio. She's saying good night to everyone. I guess she's starting to get sleepy. I mean, hey, the party doesn't start till about now, right?
That's right.
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead. and shut the audio off the shortwave because I don't want to keep sending the audio up to the station. So I'm gonna disconnect. We're disconnected. Yeah, we're disconnected. Okay. I'm sure they cut us off earlier anyway, but there was nobody scheduled to be on after us anyway, so it didn't hurt. But I turned it off. Good night to everyone. Good night, Jill. And we got a Byron there, the KG5 JVF. He said good night. So we got Don smoking again. Don, Now, let
I
me
met
ask
Jill at Dayton.
Don, you're a doctor. Isn't it smoking bad for you?
Keeps the bugs away.
That's right.
Yeah.
Bugs, yeah.
Hey, is cigar smoke any different than cigarette smoke? I mean, is there been any studies on that?
Yeah, it's more.
I think I would have to be perfectly honest to say it's not a good thing, but I can think of worse things.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
I'm like Bill Clinton. I don't inhale.
Yeah,
So-
well, as long as you don't inhale, then that probably helps a lot, you know.
Well,
What else?
technically, it burns at a lower temperature than cigarettes do, so that it releases less of the carcinogens.
So hey, how about these? Do they have one of these electronic cigars yet? You know, like they got the electronic cigarettes. Have you guys tried the electronic cigar?
Never seen one.
Have you not seen you've not seen the electric cigarette?
I've seen the cigarettes, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would defeat the purpose of the cigar.
Exactly.
I saw somewhere, I read somewhere where I think one of those exploded on somebody. I don't know if I guess they've got batteries in them, don't they? Or do they charge? Or
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, batteries.
It's just a nebulizer.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, but you charge that battery incorrectly, or you get the short on that, maybe it'll blow it up.
Let's see. Brian said it's probably
These are the
worse than a
cigars,
cigar. No
right?
filter. They do. Former coworker had an e-cigar. Okay, there we go. See, we're getting educated here. The chat room tells us there are e-cigars out there.
Says it even smelled like burning dog food, just like a real.
Oh yeah. It's got the dog poo burning smell and everything. Look. Okay, all right. I don't think Doc is going to get one, but William, why don't you try to pick one up for the next show, and you can try it out on the next show. We'll have a whole segment on e-cigars.
And just because I'm out in the garage doesn't mean I'll smoke a dog poo cigar.
Yeah, Signals there is says he got me. They've been working on me probably a better looking website. I definitely need help. And he says, what do we think about this test page? And he's got a link here. I'll click on it a little later there and see what it looks like. And let's see, Delta's in there. Hey, let me just put a plug in here. We've still got about 50 users in the chat room. I guess they're watching. I don't know. Delta's in here. Delta is the owner of Digital Addiction. He's the guy that helped us put the chat room in, and he's the guy that runs it and owns it. And we appreciate what Delta's done. He really wants to build these chat rooms up to be, technical type chat rooms. We would like people to start using them, during the day and every day, not just during the show. The chat room's up all the time. Use it to talk about things, computers or technology, or coordinate with a friend. Maybe a satellite contact or a DX contact. You can do it right in the chat room. So it's there.
I just looked at it. Delta, it looks pretty good.
You looked at it? Well, if you said it looks pretty good, I'm gonna have to look at it here. So I'm gonna see what it looks like here.
Okay, I like it.
I have to see what it looks
definitely
like.
an improvement over the existing one.
Let's see. Where's the chat room though? That's my problem. See, the chat room's at the bottom. See, this is the new page. This is what I was telling Delta. I'm trying to balance. I almost have to balance half the page for video and half for chat.
Well, you need another couple monitors there.
Yeah, and that's the problem with people with multiple monitors. It's real easy. You can pop the chat out and move it to a separate monitor. And
I gotta figure out why my video feed doesn't look HD like some of the other guys, because it must be the couple programs I'm running through.
Yeah, it's probably bandwidth related.
Well, you probably got one of those 100 meg up, 100 meg down networks like the people are talking about on here that it buffers all the time.
Oh, yeah, right. One of those 100 megs up and down that buffers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's see here.
Yeah,
okay,
it's all the video stuff that I use to stream to QRZ and all that. I know that's what's probably screwing all this up.
Yeah. I'm looking at the page that Delta and the guys put together. I'm very open for changes. Again, I've got to think through the chat room part. I don't know what that's going to do when you open a chat room. It's going to be on top of the video. So, oh man.
He's got it below the video right in this.
Yeah, but well, I think I don't know if it pops out there. If it doesn't, let me see. Let me just sign in and see where it goes with it. Okay, it's at the bottom. So yeah, and it's wide. And with the chat room wide like that, you get to see the user list. When the chat room is narrow, you don't really see the user list. You have to know how to kind of toggle back and forth on the user list. So this is nice, and yeah, the chat room looks best when it's large. But man, if I'm in a chat room now, I can't watch the video. If I'm in a video, I can't watch the chat room. So, man, it's a terrible balancing act.
Yeah, the best thing to do is to have like pop out buttons so people can pop everything out.
Well, if you pop it out there, of course, if you pop it out there, where would you put it?
On another screen.
No, but see
another screen, or you can shrink the video size.
Yeah. And we used to run our standard video size was much smaller, but we're since this is a video show, we tried to kind of stretch the envelope a little bit on the video and make it a little larger, where people have a little bit better viewing experience. So, even I don't know, man. Right now it's just about balanced, about half and half if you use embedded, maybe not quite half and half. But I like the colors and I like what they've done here. Just not sure how practical it's going to be. Of course, Delta's probably screaming at me right now for saying that.
Oh well. You know what's weird? If you go to my QRZ page, N3VE, you'll see it's an HD video, but on your what's going on here is not. I don't understand that.
Now, well, let's think about that a minute. First of all, what am I trying to do here? I wanted to go back to chat room. That's somewhere. There it is, right there. So you're seeing what, HD looking picture, or does it actually say HD on it?
Well, it's an HD looking picture, but
because see on Hangout, when you send HD, normally it puts an HD down at the bottom right hand corner.
Oh,
have you ever seen that before?
No, I'll take a look now.
Right above the little postage pictures, it usually puts HD in there. I know, like Bruce up in New Jersey, when he's on, it usually says HD over there for him. Let's see. I don't see anybody here. Let's see. William's not showing HD, and Don's not, and Byron's not. So nobody's showing it on here tonight.
I'm using an ancient camera.
Yeah, well, but
I don't know. William looks like he's got HD, and or at least high.
Yeah, his picture definitely looks very sharp and clear, like it is HD. But when you're on Hangout, you will see the letters HD appear right on that bottom right hand. And we've all discussed that before, why certain people aren't, don't have HD on there. And it may be that I think my problem was my PC something may have been a little old or something. It wasn't that my camera wasn't HD. I think it was probably maybe had something to do with the PC.
Yeah, interesting.
Byron, where are you?
Down between Tupelo and Oxford, Mississippi.
Okay.
Yeah, he's getting down here where
Still raining over there?
Looks like it stopped. I think it stopped about a half hour ago. Finally.
Yeah, it's still raining here. We've had about 4 or 5 inches here.
My head is proud for the rain to be done. I hope.
Wow, you know. Yeah, it's rained here a lot. Let's see, I've got a different camera here. Let's see. Let me try.
I'm in East Tennessee, so you're Chattanooga.
Try that camera there. Of course, that camera there is not. That's not. I don't even know what that's doing, to tell you the truth. Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. See, that camera, even though you're seeing that right now, that is not. That's not the Hangout. That's going through my broadcaster, and then it's going through some converters and. But I think that picture looks sharper than the other one, doesn't it? That picture right there probably looks sharper than that one. I don't know.
No, this one does not look that sharp for you.
What?
This
one here?
That one is generally sharper, the one where they can do the show from.
So you say this camera here is usually sharper?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's.
You know what? I think it's a moot point. It's just.
Yeah, I think it's just a Hangouts thing. You know.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, I'd like it to be better, but you know, hey.
Yeah, we all would.
It doesn't appear to be. That one, to me, that looks pretty sharp, man. I don't know. Let's see. I've got. There we go.
Hey Tom, what's that optical scope you have behind you to your left?
Right there.
Like you got a light source for it and all that. Yeah, what's that?
Yeah, it's got it's got a light in it, and I don't know if the light's plugged in. Let's see.
Just solder.
No, it's not. The light's not plugged in. Let's see.
Yeah, hook that up to your Google Hangout. Let's see what you got on there.
Yeah. I think that's the plug right there. I'll find out if something starts smoking here. Yeah, yes, there's a light.
No.
Yeah, it's just a high power. It's just a high power.
Can't hear you.
It's just.
Can't hear you.
Yo, am I too far away from the mic? Yeah, it's just a high power. Hey, I tell you, man, when I start working on little surface mount stuff, I need that sometimes.
That's really sharp. Where'd you pick that up?
I don't remember where I got that. I had that for a long time. But
Cool.
you know, it's actually made for you know, working on micro miniature stuff, electronic stuff.
Nice. That's pretty sharp. See, you know what, Tom? You could spend a show demonstrating some of that equipment that you have behind.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Demonstrating it, huh? Well, let's see. Let me see what I got.
I think there's a lot of people out there that have probably never seen an optical device like that.
Oh, yeah? Probably not. But I tell you, I need it now. My eyes are getting pretty bad, man. Especially when you start putting parts on it about the size of the gnat, you know?
Right.
Oh, man.
Well, you could at least do a half an hour on one show. Just pick out 4 pieces of equipment you have.
Yeah.
And just show it to some of the newer guys. See, there's plenty of new guys and old guys out there like myself that just would love to see, some of the oddball stuff that you might not think would be on radio.
What was that?
I said that there's plenty of gear out there that you might not think would be related to amateur radio.
Yeah. Well, I could tell everybody we don't use green screen.
Well, you use blue screen, purple screen.
Yeah, blue screen. So. Yeah, they accuse me of using green screen all the time. I say no, I don't use green screen. What you see is real, man.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah. I really like how the blue screen makes my desk and everything. Look at this desk right here. Looks just like looks just like I'm on that desk, doesn't it?
That's sharp. It works.
I mean, man, you can't get any better than that. You know.
No, I think the your local TV news crews would be envious of your set.
Yeah, I mean, I lucked out on this. This picture right here, I took this picture off the internet, and I made it into my studio.
Was that those naked weather girls that set? Is that where you took that from?
There was some with weather girls on it, but no, I tell you, I couldn't take I found some that had people in it. I couldn't take the people out. Now I was able to on this one. See the little blue boxes. They had some. They had writing. They had writing in here. I was able to Photoshop that out. I was able to Photoshop my call letters, up at the top up there. So yeah, it turned out pretty good,
Personally, I like.
You could put some of those naked weather girls on there, and that would improve your viewership.
Yeah, absolutely. Get them the weather girls up there.
Yeah, well, I had some here doing mud wrestling on here, but I didn't want to put it on there on the show,
And you still don't know the name of the city behind you, huh?
No. If anybody knows, let me ask the chat room people. Anybody. That should be a city that people know.
That's not Memphis.
No, not hardly. Maybe in about 500 years, maybe, I don't know. But that city, I'm sure it's a real city. I don't think it's a fake city.
You never know.
I don't know, man. Looks real to me. Let's see.
Might be a bunch of Legos or something. So
it could be back here, yeah. I'm gonna get me a little airplane that flies across back there.
You're gonna get a gorilla to climb one of those
in the window back here. I'm gonna have one fly across the window back here.
Have King Kong come crawling up the side of the building or something. So
exactly. Yeah. I wonder what's that book behind Byron? I can't read the title. So someone's on there as well.
Yeah, some kind of. I'll see it in a minute ago.
Machinist what is that?
That's Machinery's Handbook. That's sort of the Machinist Bible kind of.
Yeah.
I just couldn't read it. Thank you.
That is that's cool. I bet that's got a lot of good stuff in it. I mean, I dabble, as a hobby, out in my shop with a little machinist stuff. But let me tell you, a good machinist who knows what he's doing, he can make some good looking stuff, man.
Well, that book is kind of the sum total of digest of all the mechanical engineering knowledge since the pyramids, I think. A lot of it hasn't changed since the pyramids, I don't think. But I use it a lot for threading as much as anything else. But yeah, there's tons of good stuff in there.
Well, gentlemen, I have to go to bed and get up in the morning and go to work. Some of us have to do that.
Well, all right, man. I know it's getting late for you. I tell you, I'm about ready. See, the nights before the show, I usually don't eat supper, so I'm getting kind of hungry right now. I'm getting hunger pains. I may go get me a peanut butter sandwich.
Sounds good. I'm gonna go get me a lay on the pillow sandwich and close my eyes.
Yeah.
I'd almost say that picture is Chicago.
You think so?
Wow.
Well,
I go back to it for a second.
I don't know. I mean, it could be. I mean,
is that Chicago?
Say where? Did you say Europe? Did you say Europe, Jeff?
No.
I don't think any buildings in Europe look like this.
Probably Detroit. Oh, I think there's plenty of buildings in Europe that look like that.
Well, it's right on the water, so yeah. I mean, it could be downtown.
Yeah, I guess that is water right there, isn't it? Kind of, the lights are kind of reflecting.
It's hard to tell with your desk. Take that if you could get your desk out of the way and just show us.
I could move the desk out of the way. Believe me, I can do it. I can move the desk, but
hopefully you have pants.
Don't fall into the water.
I could move it, but I'd have to put pants on.
I was going to say, I hope you're wearing pants. All right, guys. 7-3 out. We'll see each other again sometime.
All right, we'll see you later.
Bye, Jeff.
Glad you joined us.
Thanks.
So Dr. Don, man, is it still raining over there? And
It is.
your way? Gee, I think it's finally quit. Although I think we got a little bit more coming. Maybe, I don't know.
It's supposed to start clearing up tomorrow afternoon, so I think we've had 4 or 5 inches here
Yeah.
since it started. Well, Sunday, I guess.
Yep. Man, you know, we got Christmas. We're going to be here in about 3 weeks, man, 4 weeks. We're gonna.
Yeah, not too far away now.
I'm gonna have to start doing my internet shopping quick.
Yeah, the lightning deals on Amazon haven't been that great.
Well, I tell you, every year, I mean, I get out in the car and I go to these shopping centers. Oh man, I pull my hair out. You can't even drive through the parking lots. They're so full. You can't get into an intersection. Man, you know, I tell you, you can't beat ordering online. Have that stuff dropped off right at the door.
I do about 90% of my shopping on Amazon.
Yeah.
So they usually have pretty competitive prices, and you don't have to get out. And if it's not right, you can send it back, and it's hard to beat.
Yeah.
My problem with Amazon lately is I've been trying to look for things useful to me in ham, and I don't know enough yet how to not buy a bunch of the wrong thing. I've done that a few times so far.
Well, it happens.
Yeah.
But you know, Amazon's got good guarantees and they got money back, and you almost don't get burned on Amazon.
Yeah, you get a lot of consumer protection and stuff like
Yeah.
that buying through them, but yeah, the gear they have there is pretty limited, and some of the higher end gear that they have there through various sellers is not priced competitively enough. I mean, you can get plenty of the Chinese little handy talkies and some other miscellaneous gear like that, but when you start getting into like HF and stuff, you probably want to search around at in main trading company, the big HROs and crap like that.
Mostly what I've been looking for is coax and connectors and ancillary stuff like that. That's not super critical, but when it fits the wrong thing, it still doesn't help. And like I said, I haven't quite got it all figured out yet. So
yeah, I still shop around for coax. Sometimes I go to like cable experts, or it all depends on what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I've got quite a few spare parts that will hopefully serve me for something good in the future. Right now they're shelf ornaments.
I got a few of those.
Sooner or later, you'll need them.
That's the scary part right now.
I got like 3 Kenwood rigs just like stacked up on my workbench over here amongst all the trash.
I had a guy down the street who's 92 years old, and he was getting ham radio. I guess he's just trying to get all of his affairs in order. And asked me to come down, and he said, if you want my stuff, you can have it. And so I got I think it's a TS 840 or something like that. MFJ tuner. He had a tower out back, which we took down. I didn't need a tower, but I helped him take it down. Gave it to another ham here in town, and then there's a Venture Keyer, and let's see what else. Oh, just a whole bunch of different things. There's a Heil microphone.
Yeah.
Pretty good deal. I didn't do anything to deserve it, but he gave it to me anyway.
Well, that's good. Let's see.
Finally have at least some semblance of an HF when FedEx runs tomorrow. Now I've got to figure out how to get it's just a little QRP. A friend of mine had it spare, taking up space in a closet, and gave me a really good price on it. It's a little, I think it's an XM1 5 watt. It's a Chinese thing, but
Oh yeah, yeah. I had one of those for a little while.
For me, it's
They're
not
too bad.
gonna be bad. It's got to be better than what I've got now, which is just a 2 meter HT that I keep stuck in the car because I can't reach anything else from home. So
Yeah, I had that little. It's like an XM103 or something like that from Zygu or whatever they call it.
yeah,
And yeah, it's a pretty good little rig. I know the very first revision they had out had some AGC issues, but I mean, nothing that was preventing you from using it. It's just sometimes the audio is a little light. You had to kind of use amplified speakers to hear it. But I think they've addressed that. If not, I would definitely join the. There's a Yahoo group for that particular rig.
I got on it about an hour ago.
Good. Yeah, there's a lot of good guys on there that can walk you through just about anything you run into on that rig. But
Yeah.
it's a good little QRP rig for the price.
I got to figure out how to build an antenna for it, and I've got a microphone for it. That was one thing. The microphone had been broken, so
Yeah, when you're running QRP, the antenna is everything.
Yeah. Just find one of your buddies that has a desk mic and just borrow his hand mic off his Yaesu rig. I think it's the same modular plug for the Yaesu. There's probably 1,000 of them laying around. I know I have one sitting here somewhere.
I'm hoping to take just a regular, probably the one that I'm actually using on the computer here, and make a little modification to push a talk button on it.
Oh yeah, there's a guy on eBay that sells these things for like, I don't know, $15 or something like that, and they come pre-wired, and you can use them for headsets, and it already has the modular plug on it and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I got one for Yaesu and for ICOM, and they work perfectly.
Got an 8-inch plug on it, and from
Yeah,
what I see of pictures, it's just an 1/8-inch jack.
Just a single one, just a single jack.
One on front, one on back. I think the one on back is for I forgot what I saw, but it was for something. It had some purpose, and I got it in one of these 8,000 tabs that I've got open.
Oh, that's right. That one just has the little headphone speaker mic jacks. I was thinking the next one, the new one that they have out, the 108 or whatever, has the ICOM microphone. I think that one's a 20-watt little rig.
Tom has left the building.
No, I'm here. I'm here. I don't know what y'all are talking about, but I don't know if you can see this. I had a couple little cheap Wooksong or whatever radios, and in fact, I installed one in the truck and used it for a mobile rig. I put a quarter wave on the hood and mounted a little handy talkie under the seat, and I bought an external speaker mic to go with it. And this is I don't know if you can see it or not. That fits that. You can buy those on eBay for like $6.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's not a bad deal, if you.
Yeah, I had to go through 4 of them before I got one that worked. Was the only problem with that. That's the same thing that I've got.
Well, I think the first one I got was bad, and it didn't work right. And they sent me another one, and I think I was able to fix the first one, so I ended up having a second one there. Well, guys, I think I'm going to get out of here and go get me something to eat. I'm getting a little hungry, and then probably turn in for the evening in a little while. Had a good time talking to everybody.
It's only 10 o'clock, though.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. It's my supper time.
It's only 9 o'clock here.
Yeah.
It's 11 o'clock here, so.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have a great week, and good luck with that new little QRP rig. I just worked sweepstakes with my radio QRP and did 150 contacts in just like 8 hours worth of time. So QRP is all you need.
Did you hear me talking about the one I'm going to build on the show tonight? Did you hear that?
No, I must have missed that.
It's the Micro 40. You ought to look that up. It's a Micro 40, and it's the thing's got about 4 transistors in it. It's got 2 chips in it, simple chips. You can buy all the parts for like probably $35. And the guy, he's laid it out there. He's built a very nice one. I think if you look at it, you'll probably see it on the internet. And it's a 3 or 4 watt double sideband on 40 meters.
Oh, yeah.
On 40 meters.
Yeah, I see it.
And
Yep.
I'm going to take that ceramic filter out. It gives him, the way that's built, it gives him about 100 kilocycles in the voice band on 40 meters. And I'm going to take that ceramic filter out. I'm going to put an Arduino DDS on there. You can build the Arduino DDS for about $15. That's digital readout, highly stable VFO, everything. Plug it into there and probably have full band coverage with digital readout. So, but that little radio, if you look at it, it sounds good, man, to have just a few parts in it.
What is VFO?
It's the variable frequency oscillator. It's the thing that changes the frequency, when you turn your dial on a radio. Of course, if you're on, VHF and some of these other channels, usually, you got
Usually
switches or
synthesized.
synthesized. You still turn a knob and it changes the frequency.
Same difference.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Well, good night. See you later.
All right. Good night.
Alrighty, good night.
All
Take
right.
care.